This week on football, it is the best combined 11 in Europe for 2024-2025. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is me, Alex. Thank you for joining me. It is the final episode of the season, so we've got some things to wrap up. I've got my weekend treble. Did we make a profit? That was the goal at the start of the season. I'm going to be telling you whether we did or not at the end of the show, so stay tuned for it. I've got our day one teams to wrap up. Now, when I'm recording this, we are just about to go in to the final day of the season. So when you're listening to this, you'll know who won it, but I'm going to go through the teams that have potentially got a chance. There's quite a few, and there's some really interesting fixtures, really interesting players. Are they injured? Are they going to be his captain? Are they kind of come off the bench and score? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. It's fascinating, and we'll have a look at that. We have got a Garnacho story developing that I'm going to go through. Is he leaving Manchester United? Alexander Isak, is he leaving Newcastle? And Arsenal, can they sign someone who can score goals? We'll be looking at that later in the show. But as promised, I said I'm going to go through the best 11 in Europe. Now, I've excluded the Premier League, so it's only the European leagues other than England, so the top four, really. Let's kick off with the goalkeeper. I've gone Jan Sommer. I think he's been a brilliant goalkeeper for a number of years now. At Mönchengladbach, he was really good. He got that move to Bayern. He had a very solid season. And then he got that move to Inter. Now, he's 36, by the way. And I know that's not really super old in goalkeeping years, but he's almost like in the prime of his career and he's hit 36. So it's mad. I've got some great stats for you on Jan Sommer this season. 73% save percentage. 80% save percentage in the Champions League, which has taken Inter all this way to the final. Will they win it? We'll see. 20 clean sheets for Jan Sommer this season. And like I said, 36 years old. That is mad. It's almost like he's been underrated his whole career until his late 30s. But now, Inter in the Champions League final, a lot of it is down to him because some of the saves he made in that Barca game were outrageous. I think he's been a massive part to Inter this season, and it's a real shame because if Inter don't win the Champions League, he's going to miss out by 1 point in Serie A to Napoli, and he's going to miss out on the final and winning a Champions League to PSG. You know, it could be the worst season ever, or it could be a great season. We'll see. In right back position, another one who's on that kind of cusp, Denzel Dumfries. This right back has 11 goals and 4 assists this season. Now, 4 assists doesn't sound crazy good, and actually I expected a lot more from him, but 11 goals is outstanding from a right back. Denzel Dumfries has been a massive part in Inter actually getting to this Champions League final. He scored really important goals, but the energy that he shows, bombing up and down defensively, but going forward, he's one of those right wing backs that is a dream for a lot of managers, modern day managers, and Inter have got him. And yeah, brilliant this season. I've been really impressed by him. I think he's had better seasons actually, but this season I think he's been the best right back arguably in the world, could you say? You got to say it's combined 11. Yeah, let's go with it. Centre back. Let's start off with Pau Kubasi. I've waxed lyrical about Pau Kubasi. I cannot believe he's 18 years old and he's this accomplished. He's been brilliant in this Barcelona side that has now won the Liga title in Spain. What Barca do, which is really interesting, they don't just create their own academy products. They take players who are already kind of flourishing or getting into a side, and then they put them back into the system almost at youth level and then make them play the Barca way and understand the system, the culture of the club, which is fantastic. And yeah, I think Pau Kubasi, another La Masia product, and yeah, you got to take your hat off to Barca once again. They've been brilliant, and Hansi Flick's done a fantastic job. Now, I know it was really disappointing for them missing out on that Champions League final, but Inter, those games, they're the best games I've seen this season. But to win the league title, you know, at the age he is at 18, a lot of pressure on him playing those really high lines and doing so much work, so much running back. He's been brilliant. Crazy stat, and I brought this up in a video on TikTok, by the way, but I think it's going to be over now. But at the time of recording that video, Barca had conceded over 30 goals this season that had then later been chalked offside, which is outstanding because it just shows the defensive discipline. It's the risk that Hansi Flick plays, and it's the reward as well, and that demonstrates it. And Kubasi to nail that inside 17, 18 years old. He's not even 20, 21. He's still a kid. It's mad. Yes, alongside him, someone who's been really impressive this season, actually for a couple of years now, but Alessandro Bastoni. A lot of people talk about him now since Neve talked about him, and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh yeah, no, he is a good player without ever watching him. He's brilliant. He's fantastic. Alessandro Bastoni's been brilliant for Inter in the Champions League, but also in the league. We have to remember that Inter, yes, they didn't win Serie A, but they came so close. Bastoni's been brilliant for them. Fantastic campaign in the Champions League. And a name I think a lot of people probably didn't notice, and like I said, until it started becoming popular on social media, because Neve said he was a good player, and then everyone's like, yeah. I just don't watch him and make your own decision, because she's right, but the amount of people who just like, oh yeah, he's class, I've been saying he's class. You never watch an Inter game. Watch him and then say he's good. I don't know. Nuno Mendes is my left back. I think he's the best left back in the world this season. He's got 5 goals, 7 assists for PSG, and PSG could well go on to win a double treble, actually. They've just won the Coupe de France tonight as I'm recording. So they could win the league, the cup, and it would be a treble winning season for Nuno Mendes if they manage to get over the line in that Champions League final against Inter. What a season. I think he's been brilliant, and there'll be Ballon d'Or shouts for a lot of these PSG players if they get over the line. Nuno Mendes, best left back in the world at the moment. Central midfield, let's go with Vitinha. I love Vitinha. I've been speaking about him and yapping on about Vitinha for 2 seasons now. I think it's 2 seasons where you've had to listen to me yap on about how good he is. And at one point, I described him as a calm brook in the back garden, like a stream. So that's how good I think he is. Let's go with Pedri. I mentioned him earlier, La Masia. Now, he's something a little bit different. Las Palmas came to Barcelona, but then came into the under-21s, understood the style of play, the culture, and Pedri is flourishing. He is arguably the best midfielder in the world at the moment, and I think anyone who disagrees, you have to watch him, because he's just magic. If you watch him and you just purely look at stats, you're going to see goals, you're going to see assists, and you'll be like, how is this guy up there with one of the best midfielders in the world? You know, Jude Bellingham might get 19 league goals in a season, and everyone will go, he's the best. Now, I think it's a good debate, and I love Jude Bellingham, but I think Pedri is just something else. You know, it's the stuff that doesn't lead directly to a goal, but it's the stuff that keeps Barca ticking. It's the stuff that Hansi Flick absolutely needs. It's imperative to Barcelona's system. Can he keep the ball under pressure? Can he understand tight spaces, intricate passes? That's a player that Barcelona, you know, inherently have produced, and they've produced another one, and he's fantastic. And then finishing off my midfield with one of my favourite players and my player of the season, Scott McTominay. I love him. You know I love him. He's been in almost every team of the week that I've done this season. He is absolutely golden. I love Scott McTominay, and so well deserved for him to go out there and prove everybody wrong. Anyone who doubted him, anyone, do you know what? People with half a brain, Premier League fans who just don't understand football have been saying Scott McTominay, oh, he's awful, he's Scottish, he plays for Man United, he must be terrible. Nah, he's great, and he's not the player that everyone thinks he was. Everyone thought he was this tough tackling midfielder who just breaks up play. He's not. He's a technical player. He can run with the ball. He understands the game. He can score. He can get on the end of a cross, but he can also create something. He's been absolutely insane this season. 13 goals and 6 assists in all competitions for Scott McTominay, and then scoring that wonderful goal in the final game of the season for Napoli to clinch the title. It's just been a fairy tale for Scott McTominay this season, and yeah, fully deserved. Wow. Right, let's do right wing. I think this guy, this is a tight one, because I don't know. Look, if it was down to the Premier League and everything else, I'd probably be edging towards Salah. But considering I've taken the Premier League players out, I am just going to edge Lamine Yamal at right wing. I think he's been a revelation. I've never seen a 17-year-old better. I've never seen a teenager better, I don't think. I've never seen a player with this much in his locker at such a young age. I've never seen a player since Messi do the things that he's doing, where I'm getting up off my seat. I'm looking at this guy to pull through no matter what's happening in the game. He's someone that you can give the ball to and trust that something's going to happen. And I love these players. The game's crying out for them. People are so robotic these days. The systems, the boring side-to-side passes. And then you've got someone like Lamine Yamal coming through who saves football. He's the guy that you give the ball to and he'll run past 3 or 4 players, or he'll pick out a player in the box that nobody's seen. He sees passes that I don't see on TV. It's nuts. And he is arguably one of the best players in the world this season. And he'll have Ballon d'Or shouts, 18 goals and 21 assists for a 17-year-old. I've never seen anything like it. And even Messi wasn't hitting these numbers. So watch out. Right wing was Lamine Yamal. Left wing is Ousmane Dembele. Weird, I just noticed Ousmane Dembele had commented on Sunderland's post saying good luck for the final or whatever. Is he a secret Macam or something? I didn't know he's got any connections, but Ousmane Dembele been probably the number 1 pick for the Ballon d'Or this season if PSG get over the line against Inter in that final. And then he wins a treble. He scored 33 goals and got 11 assists. Oh my God, I'm just reading those numbers now and realising how mental that is from a player who couldn't really get double figures, let alone 33 goals and 11 assists in one season. He's been a monster for PSG. And PSG have been brilliant. It's a testament to the system. It's a testament to the players around him, the pressing, Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, players in midfield, Vitinha, João Neves. They've been brilliant this season and they will, I think, go on to win the Champions League. But Dembele's got the goals. He's got the goals. He's been on the finishing side of the moves. He's been there to tap the ball in or to strike it home from distance from 20 yards out. He's left-footed. He's right-footed. He can dribble. He can take the ball past a player. He's just magic. And this season, we've really seen the best of him. And it's taken a long time. I don't want to call him a late bloomer because of how special the talent was early doors. And I think we just never saw the true potential. And then this season, it's just sparked into life and it's been amazing. Finishing off, I think this guy is the best player in the world in centre-forward position in this team, Kylian Mbappe. He scored 41 goals and got 5 assists. 41 goals in his debut season for Real Madrid. I don't think people understand how nuts that is to score 41 goals in your debut season at the biggest club in the world like it's nothing. And I know this is a guy who's played in World Cup finals and won a World Cup at such a young age, but there's always those doubts when you come over from PSG in the French league and you think, is there going to be a step up? Can you do it in this league? La Ligas are much more difficult. The quality's higher. The style of play is very different. But, he's turned up and then some. I think Real Madrid have had by their standards, pretty poor season, but Kylian Mbappe's been a menace. You think about those goals against Man City where he just absolutely, he tore them apart and he was making fun of them. This is in the Champions League against one of the best teams in the world and he just made everyone look stupid. Yeah, 41 goals is nuts and it shouldn't go unnoticed. I think when people ask about who the best player in the world is, we're all a little bit hesitant to say the most obvious answer, but the most obvious answer is the answer. We all want to say, oh yeah, but Yamal's really good. Yeah, he's amazing. We want to say, oh yeah, but Erling Haaland's been the best. He's scored all those goals. Harry Kane's, but we're forgetting the number 1 best player in the world. It's not Mo Salah, it's Kylian Mbappe, and it's by a distance. I actually don't even think it's close. I think to say that Salah is close to Mbappe, I think is disrespectful. This season, yes, Salah's been a monster, but Kylian Mbappe has just done it season in, season out since the age of 19. That's weird. That's weird. Right, and then I've got a couple of names that I put down because I think, they deserved a shout. I'm not saying that I should have put them in. I'm pretty happy with my decisions, but Harry Kane, unlucky to miss out, 38 goals, 11 assists in the league this season and a first title for Harry Kane in his career and well deserves a mention. Rafinha, another guy going for Ballon d'Or shouts, 34 goals and 23 assists and a title for this season for Rafinha. He's been magnificent. Michael Olise, first season in Champions League football and first season at Bayern Munich, has got 17 goals, 19 assists and a league title, all at just 23 years old. I've got Mason Greenwood, got 22 goals and 5 assists at just 23. That's insane numbers. Matteo Retegui, what a season he's had. Serie A's top goal scorer, 28 goals. 28 goals. I thought he got like 23. 28 goals. That's some going. 28 goals all season and 8 assists. So that's fantastic. And obviously guiding Atalanta to Champions League football, which is insane when you think about it. From where they were as a club to be consistent Champions League contenders or European contenders is brilliant. Alex Meret for Napoli has been brilliant in goal for them this season. You know, he's been one of those players that probably doesn't get any recognition because being a goalkeeper in Serie A, you're not really out there on the world stage, but he's been fantastic. He's been solid. I got some great stats for Alex Meret as well. He's got 17 clean sheets and he's got 71% save percentage this season. So massive in that title win for Napoli. He's been really impressive. Iosi Perez I've got in there because 21 goals, 4 assists for Villarreal and securing Champions League football. Did anyone think that Iosi Perez had 21 goals in a season in him? Because I didn't, but fair play. That's fantastic. And he's into his 30s now as well. A lot of these players like hitting their form just as they're like, it almost like feels like the prime of these players is shifting ever so slightly higher and higher, which is weird. But yes, fantastic. Julian Alvarez, massive season for him at Atletico. He's got 29 goals and 6 assists. And then we've got Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, 34 goals and 4 assists. Ronaldo scoring 34 goals and 4 assists at the age of 40. I know it's in the Saudi League, but that's big. That's not nothing. That's not absolutely nothing. Now we look at someone like Ivan Toney, who was brilliant in the Premier League last season, and we think, you know, this is a really top player. He's playing in the best league in the world. Ronaldo's outscored him comfortably. You know, so is it that bad of a league? You know, if Ivan Toney can go there and rip it up, but not score as many as Ronaldo. And Ronaldo keeps doing it. I don't know. I think he's still got it. I honestly think if you put Ronaldo into a side in the Premier League, he'd score goals, and I think he'd score a lot of them. Right, let's move on to Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak is leaving Newcastle at the end of the season. That would be true if you read all the papers and believed them, but there are 3 very heavily linked clubs with Isak, and I'm going to go through them and why I think Alexander Isak is better off staying at Newcastle. Starting off with Arsenal. Now, Arsenal need a striker. It's one of the most documented transfer rumours that Alexander Isak could be going to Arsenal. Arsenal need a striker. Perfect fit. The question I'd ask, does it make sense for Isak to do that in his career? Do you think you would win a title at Newcastle before Arsenal? Because I would personally believe that you would. Now, I love what Mikel Arteta does at Arsenal, but something isn't working. Something isn't quite there. At Newcastle, under Eddie Howe, at the moment, first trophy in 70 years at Newcastle. The tide is turning. For me, I'd stay at Newcastle, and I think you've got a better chance of winning a title in the next 5 years at Newcastle than you do at Arsenal. Second one is Barcelona. Now, Lewandowski can't play on forever. We know that. And Alexander Isak is a perfect replacement. He's young enough. He's good enough. He can score. And Barcelona are a team that is suddenly on the rise again. Now, they're the biggest side in the world, second biggest side in the world, third biggest side in the world, whatever. But if you're Alexander Isak, would you want to do that move? I personally wouldn't. I'd stay at Newcastle. I'd see the project through. I fully believe Newcastle could be winning a Premier League title or a Champions League in the next 5 years. I fully believe in the project that they've got. And because of the fan base, because of the ownership, because of the way Eddie Howe has treated this project, it almost feels like it's an inevitability. They won their first trophy this season. Bigger things are coming. Signings will come. They'll eventually be able to spend that money to support Isak and the rest of the team. There is something brewing at Newcastle. And if I'm Alexander Isak, I'd potentially be staying. The third club is Liverpool. Liverpool need a striker. Darwin Núñez didn't cut it. Salah can't keep scoring all the goals forever. And there is a gaping hole in that Liverpool side if they want to go on and retain that title and maybe win a Champions League as well. Alexander Isak, does he suit that system? Yes. All day long, because he's got every finish in the book. He can score from outside the box. He can score on his left foot. He can score on his right foot with his head. 6-yard box. He's a predator. He's fantastic. So it suits him down to the ground. Again, if I am Alexander Isak, do I make that jump or do I just stay at Newcastle? Does it make sense to try and win a title there? And I think if he did, he'd go down a club legend. that is something that shouldn't be sniffed at. For me, I think Newcastle's best option is to keep him there. £150 million bids, yes, they sound great, but how do you spend them? You cannot spend £150 million well enough to replace a player as good as Alexander Isak unless you're extremely lucky, because these players come along once in a generation. Players who are this good. He's one of the best finishers in the world. I fully believe he's the best finisher in the Premier League. He's a player that has got everything. Definitely stay for Isak. And if you're Newcastle, keep him. Stuff the money. Keep that player at your club at all costs. Right, let's move on to Garnacho. The breaking news that, I mean, it's quite shocking, but it's not. The breaking news is that Ruben Amorim has told him that he can go at the end of the season. And I think a lot of United fans are quite happy about that. And myself as a United fan, I'm quite happy about that. This is a player with so much potential, but we are sick of his attitude. It's one thing to be a great player. It's another thing to treat the club and the players around you with respect, with understanding. You know, he is so out of touch with the fan base, with the club. Something isn't right with him, and I think he needs to move away for himself and for Man United. I think it's the best thing. There are pros and cons. Now, I'll ask you the question. Is Garnacho good enough to play at Man United? Would you keep him or would you sell him? I've got some pros and cons for you, and I'll go through them now. Pro, he's only 20 and he's an academy graduate. Pro, he is ranked somehow third in the world for goal involvements for players 20 years old or younger. Pro, he's quick, he's dynamic, he's exciting, he's improving on all the basic areas, his hold-up play, his build-up play, intelligent passes and keeping the ball. Cons, he can't shoot. Con, he's regressing in his development. Con, he thinks he's better than he is. And I think actually that point is the nail in the coffin for me. No player is bigger than the club at Man United, and no player, particularly someone who's not having a barnstorming season, should ever look to call out the players around you or the manager. You're not at that level yet. And I think for Garnacho, he almost missed a couple of steps. I think he thought he was the player that he might end up becoming in 5 years' time. He's got a lot of steps to go, and he's a little bit too sure of himself for United fans. And I think United fans will see him go, and I don't think they'll be too upset about it. Now, would Garnacho go to another club and rip it up? I almost don't doubt that he would. But for me, in the Premier League, at this club, at this moment in time, it doesn't suit, and I think it's time to say goodbye. Right, moving on. Day one teams. Right, let's go through these day one teams. Oh my God, right. This is crazy. Now, when I set out at the start of the season, I wanted to build a league for everyone listening that you could follow along, listen along like I know a lot of you do, and we could keep tabs of your team, a little bit of connection between us and you. That worked out really well at the start. Now, 180 something of you joined the league, which is great. But about 160 of you didn't follow the rules, which left us with about 20 players going into the final game of the season, which has meant it's been a really tight title race. And it has been great to see because there's a few names on there that I know. Let's go through them. Who could win it? Who's going to miss out? Oh, God, it's going to be tight. At the top currently is Joe Constance. That is a massive comeback because he must have been 5th or 6th at some point. And all of a sudden he finds himself top in the league with, what's that? 31 points. Is that an unassailable lead? I don't think so. The final day of the season can be crazy. Anything can happen. Second is Liam Edgar. He led all the way and somehow he finds himself slipping away. And Dale Priest, I said he's going to be up there. He knows his fantasy football. He's third. And fourth, really, I think that's probably the full list of teams that could win it from here is Brandon. Excellent season from Brandon, considering I now know that he accidentally made Isak captain instead of Haaland this season. No, it's Salah, isn't it? And he's got Salah. He accidentally captained Isak instead of Salah. And actually, to be fair, that does seem legit. And if he did, then he'll be gutted because he would have ran away with this league if he had Salah as captain. We won't talk about my team. I think it's time to move on. But absolutely brilliant having you all involved this season. Thank you for contributing. And honestly, it's been amazing seeing support and messages and people really interested in the league. And I'd love to do it again next season. So yeah, if you don't win it this season, don't worry. There will be another chance next season. Right, let's move on to Arsenal. It's the final bit of the show. I've got my weekend trebles to wrap up in a bit, but Arsenal don't need a striker. And I don't know why people are so focused on this idea that Arsenal need a striker. They don't need a striker. They need someone to score them 30 goals a season. And I know what you're thinking, Alex, you're an idiot. That is a striker. Well, not necessarily. When we look at players around the world, and I'm talking about this season in particular, Rafinha, Dembele, Salah, these players have performed outstandingly this season with 30 goals plus in all competitions. But none of them are strikers. All of them are wide players. But these are the teams: Dembele at PSG, potential Champions League winners and league title winners, potentially treble winners. Salah, league title winner. Rafinha, league title winner. And if you want to win a league, great, have a striker who scores you all loads of goals. I mean, amazing. But I actually think the most important thing is they have a player who scores goals in a forward position. Saka isn't going to do that. That's not a slight on Saka, but I think they need someone different, a goal-getter, someone who's selfish. They need someone to grab the game by the scruff of the neck or be selfish and just score, like shoot. The amount of times I watch a lot of teams these days trying to set each other up, nice neat passes, just get the ball in the back of the net, and you'll see the rewards, because at the end of the season you'll score 30 plus goals and your team's going to win something. It's very rare a player goes throughout a season scoring 30 plus goals and doesn't actually win anything. You know, those numbers are huge, and they win games and they win titles. So for me, yeah, with the exception of maybe City over a couple of seasons, where Gundogan had a great season but was their top goal scorer with like 13 or 15, and then De Bruyne did the same. City are a freak. Every other team that wins a title needs a top goal scorer, whether that's in a striker position or a right wing or a left wing, however they want to play these forwards these days. It doesn't matter. You need a player who's going to go and get you goals, and Arsenal don't have that. But here are 5 players that Arsenal should sign this summer. In at number 5, I've got Ademola Lookman. Now, I know you probably think he doesn't deserve another chance in the Premier League, but he went away. I know he didn't do it at Fulham. I know he didn't do it at Everton, but he went away, he reevaluated and almost reinvented his career. He's now at Atalanta, and he's gone and got 20 goals and 7 assists this season. He's 27 years old and deserves another chance, I believe, in the Premier League. This off the back, by the way, of nominations for Ballon d'Or last season. And again, he's gone and done it this season, getting Atalanta into a Champions League position, which is outrageous considering where they've come from as a club. I think he'd be a good shout for a replacement for Martinelli and grabbing those goals, that much needed goals for Arsenal. Number 4, Benjamin Sesko, 21 years old. He's gone and got 21 goals this season. Now, this could be a risk, but everyone who's watched him can see this is a player with bags of potential. This is a player that could become a world beater, and at some point a massive club is going to buy him. Is that going to be Arsenal? Would that work? I don't know. Number 3, I've gone with Jonathan David, an absolute goal machine, a goal magnet, a finisher, someone that Arsenal need, a striker. I think he's a great candidate, and considering that he's been so long at Lille, I think it's time for him to make that next step in his career. He'll believe in himself that he has got a future at a big club, and the goals, you see them in the Champions League, in the league every season. He's 25 years old. He's got 25 goals and 8 assists this season. Once again, no matter how the season starts with Jonathan David, you know at some point you're going to see his name start creeping up there on those top goal scorers list in the French league. I think he's worth a shout. At number 2, George Mikatadze. Now, many people probably haven't heard of him or just think he's rubbish. I'm telling you now, there's a player in there. Just 24 years old. I think he'd be an easy steal if you want to go to Lyon and get him. And I don't think he'd cost you much, and he'd be worth the risk. This is a player who definitely has goals in him. He's got arrogance in him. He's got a little bit of flair in the box, and I think he'd be perfect for Arsenal. 24 years old, like I said, but 17 goals this season. That's no joke for someone that was really struggling for game time at times in this Lyon side. I think he's a player worth a chance, and I would take him if I was Arsenal. In at number 1, I've gone Mika Berith. Mika Berith, right, this season, he's just 22, by the way. Now, he did go to Arsenal when he was younger, and he has had a spell. He was on their books, but it didn't quite work out. He went away. I think he was at Fulham briefly as well. But he's finally got his chance at the big time at Monaco. I say the big time, that's kind of the next step before it. But look, he has got 13 goals and 3 assists this season. That doesn't sound great. When I tell you, it was in 19 games. He did that in 19 games at 22 years old. That is mad. That's not just something that maybe was building up to that. It's his first season at the top flight, the top end of football, and he's doing that. I think there's a massive future for him. And if I'm Arsenal, I'm taking a punt on him. You've got the connection. I think it's well worth the risk. Go and get him before someone else does next season. Those are my 5. I think they were decent. There's a little bit of a dodgy one there in Ademola Lookman, but I think he's a good player, genuinely. Right. And by the way, the player that everyone should sign, and I didn't put it in there, but Victor Gyökeres is the obvious one. I didn't want to put him in there because it's so obvious that I think every club in world football that fancies itself should be looking to sign him, because I think he's top bracket. 53 goals and 8 assists this season. Is that even real? Like, we don't get those numbers unless you're Suarez or Messi or Ronaldo. Let's be honest. Maybe Haaland. Those are the numbers that we're dealing with Gyökeres. I know he's doing it in Portugal, but he's doing it in the Champions League in big games as well. So he's obviously got something about him. I watched him leave Coventry, and I thought, I would, with my Man United hat on, go and get him. I watched him enough for Coventry where I thought he was something special. Now, would he have succeeded at Man United under the current situation, the current, I don't know, feeling at the club? Maybe not, but there's a player in there, and he's a beast of a striker. Right, I said that I'd go through my weekend treble with you. I will. My weekend treble this season, I just wanted to make profit. That was my idea. Even if it was £10, if it was £1, could we go through a whole season of these trebles and make profit? The answer is yes, we did it. £51.99p profit. Now, what that actually means is your total stake for the whole season, say you'd put in £100, you would have £500 return. That's the level. We've 5x'd it. Those numbers don't exist in the stock markets, in the NASDAQ. These things don't even exist in the best ISAs. These are 5 times your profits. And I just did that for you, and you didn't listen to me. I guarantee you didn't. Now, I know some of you do, because I've heard from you and you actually did follow my bets, and I do appreciate the confidence. Sometimes throughout the season, I didn't have confidence in myself, but we pulled it round. 5x in your money, that's not bad. And look, if I'm still here next season, then I will be doing it again, and I will be winning you money, the podcast that wins you money. Now, I alluded to it there about whether I'm going to still be here next season. I'll open up a little bit. I have been thinking about stopping the podcast. Reason being, I've made loads of content now on TikTok and a lot of short form. And whereas the numbers are blowing up over there, they're not really getting those numbers here. I love doing the podcast in terms of an audio. That's great. We've always got a loyal fan base there. But for YouTube, it's been really difficult to get these long form podcasts, because at the end of the day, it's just me speaking into camera. It's not that interesting. But they make great little clips. So I've continued to do them. So next season, I'm thinking, do I focus on that? I'm now making money off TikTok. I'm monetized. It's a lot of work. I don't know. Let me know if you want me to continue. I always appreciate the DMs over on Instagram. Now, look, if you want to go and follow me over on TikTok or Instagram, I'm at Alex Goalpost. You'll find me there for all the best bits. But you'll also find my journey, and my journey trying to make this full time. I don't know if it's even possible, but the money's been good so far, so I'm hoping it will work out for me. I don't know. It might be my last podcast episode ever. I might just restart next season. I'll wait for feedback. I'll speak to everyone who listens, regular listeners, and hopefully I'm still here. I want to keep doing it, but we'll see. We'll see. Guys, I want to just say a massive thank you for everyone who's supported this channel so far. This year's been crazy. We've put so much work in, and they're finally starting to pay off. We're actually starting to earn money off the podcast, which is mad. Never thought I could do that, but it's happening, and it's genuinely all because you guys are posting or liking or sending it to your friends. That doesn't go unnoticed. Now, I know not many of you come over to YouTube, but the few that do, honestly, that's kept me doing YouTube for the whole season. So thank you for the 10, 20, 30 of you, however many it has been this season. I do appreciate it. I will be back next season in some way or another. But if you want to follow me on my journey, I'm at Alex Goalpost on all platforms. Go and see me. We've got 2 or 3 months without football. It's going to be a killer, but I'm going to try and bring you as much content as possible. Make sure you stay tuned, and thanks for joining once again. Have a great week. Have a great life.
It's Goalpost TV, where the that baby's been